So Back to the Future is one of my favourite film trilogies. They're just so lighthearted and so fun. A great time travel film split across 3 films to make one overall really nice story. Fantastic 80s film with a lot of heart behind it and fantastic visual effects for the time. If you guys haven't seen Back to the Future, I'd highly recommend doing so, but the problem I have with it is currently it's threatened. 2 of my favourite films so far have been Homecoming and Far From Home. I know Spider-Man has appeared in other things, but right now the trilogy having its 3rd film with the trailer just releasing and I can't. I don't even have words. Just get that feeling that after this film, my favourite film trilogy will be the Spider-Man trilogy. Based on that last trailer, I have complete confidence in Marvel to pull this off, as my jaw was thoroughly on the floor for all of the trailer. The subtle references to Feast, with the Green Goblin bomb, with the Hello Peter section. Trust me guys when I say that this is one of the most anticipated films of the year for me, and I cannot wait to see it. Hey, I thought what would be fun is if we went through the trailer, sort of scene by scene, just determining what LEGO could be making behind the scenes and not yet telling us. This concept would be fun, as if you didn't know, on my previous channel I was a movie reviewer. I'd love to bring that sort of business brain back for one video, just to go through one of my favourite looking films of this year, and we'll sort of dabble into the whole LEGO aspect as well. I think it'll be fun. Now the trailer does unfortunately start out with nothing really interesting in the LEGO side of things, but in terms of the film, I think it starts out with a really cool bunch of references. I mean, you've got Steve Ditko's name on the wall. Other than that, there's not really a lot going on in this scene, but we move on to J. Jonah Jameson, which I really hope we do get a minifig for, as he seems to be a lot more prominent in this film. Probably is going to play a major role in this film. It would be nice to get this version of J. Jonah Jameson as a minifigure, considering the Daily Bugle figure was clearly based on the comic version of J. Jonah Jameson, and he did have subtle references to look like J.K. Simmons, but it was the J.K. Simmons from the Sam Raimi version of the film. I'd love to see this version of JJJ in LEGO form, which I don't think is too much to ask. I do think we're getting a lot more sets from this film, considering we've seen no enemies yet. Now, nothing else really happens in the trailer. I guess we could have the interrogation room scene, even though LEGO I don't think would ever touch an interrogation room. But something fascinating is people are theorizing this to be Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil. As much as I'd like him to be in this film, I'm not getting my hopes up massively for this specific thing, as Daredevil did end a while ago, and I believe the actor has said that he's not in the film, but we all know that that doesn't really mean a lot. I think the one thing I'm excited for is if he is in the film, it means that we could potentially be getting a modern MCU version of a Matt Murdock or Daredevil figure, which I'm not asking for all of the minifigures like Luke Cage, Iron Fist, all that sort of jazz. I would love a Daredevil figure though, especially as the only Daredevil we've ever got is the one in the Daily Bugle, and he is based on the comic book version. Like I say, not much more happens in the trailer up until this point, so I'll just skip to something more interesting. Now, when Peter walks into the Sanctum Sanctorum, we get to see Wong going off to what clearly looks to be the Shang-Chi film, which tells me that Shang-Chi and this Spider-Man film are going to happen at reasonably the same time. I've seen a lot of theories that this isn't actually Doctor Strange, as if you didn't know, that this film is actually based on a comic book called Spider-Man One More Day. Now, everybody hated this story when this first came out, so I definitely think this film is going to be a loose adaptation on this comic book, as they don't want to recreate the same sort of drama. But the basic premise of the comic is that Spider-Man goes to Doctor Strange asking if he can make everybody forget who he is after the events of Civil War, which, if you didn't know, in the Civil War comic books, Peter voluntarily takes off his mask because of the Accords and wanting to be on the side of Tony Stark. But after the events of Civil War, he goes to Doctor Strange to ask him if he can help the world forget who he is, as he doesn't want to deal with all of the aftermath of Civil War. Of course, that is a very dumbed down version of the comic book, but if you want to read it yourself, it's a very good read. But in the events of Spider-Man One More Day, Doctor Strange actually says no, and then he goes to Mephisto, aka the Devil, to make the deal instead. Now, I've seen online people talking about how this is not Doctor Strange and this could potentially be Mephisto in disguise, because the events of WandaVision did hint at Mephisto and he was meant to be in the WandaVision series, but then so was Doctor Strange. So it wouldn't be surprising if we do get hints at Mephisto throughout the rest of this film. Like I say, a lot of people did not like the concept of Spider-Man One More Day, so I think the film is going to be loosely taking from this comic book towards the beginning of the film and then moving into the Sam Raimi stuff towards the end. And by the way, I just want to say that I do think this is Doctor Strange and not Mephisto. I think Peter's spider sense would be on fire if this wasn't Doctor Strange, and I also think Wong would be able to tell. But either way, they do the spell and Peter ruins it. And going back to LEGO, I do think that this is actually based on the Sanctum Sanctorum set that we're getting in the future. Now, I know Peter might not have the red and gold suit in this film, like in this set, but I believe he will get this suit later on in the film, and they're just throwing it in here so we can get all of the suits throughout the different sets, as I believe there will be other Spider-Men in the other sets, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. Now, moving on to a different part of the trailer, I do think a lot of people are correct when they say that this would make an awesome set. However, I don't think it's going to happen. For starters, I have no idea how you'd actually go about making this set with the 5 trains being able to circle Peter, but I also don't reckon we're going to get this set, as the only minifigures that they would include would be Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, and considering we're getting both of those figures in the Sanctum Sanctorum set, I don't think that this would be one of the sets that LEGO would go and choose to make. I think they're going to make something else and choose their minifig roster very carefully, as there does seem to be a lot of big names in this film. Now, right before the money shot of this trailer, I just want to talk a little bit about this scene. Now, it's only a couple of frames long, and I think they've done that on purpose, because I don't think they want to give out the fact that the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universe is in this trailer as well just yet. Now, some people are saying this is Venom, but I actually think it's more likely to be the Lizard from the Amazing Spider-Man 1. It's incredibly difficult to see, and we probably won't get to see it till the next trailer releases, where I believe we'll get a full look at all of the villains in this film. But I just hope that this does mean that we are able to get an Amazing Spider-Man set out of this film. So one of my set predictions for this film, and potentially very likely to happen, is that we get a big fig version of the Lizard with the Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit, as we've never had that as a minifig before. As yes, I do believe that other Spider-Men are going to be in this film. I'm still holding out hope for that. The thing that kind of confirms that for me is the fact that the Green Goblin is back with this next shot. Now, I think that we're not going to see the Green Goblin in the next trailer, because I genuinely think he is going to be one of the big bads, and potentially one of the characters that stays in this universe if they do actually end up going back to their own universes at the end of this. As I have no idea whether this is going to be a sort of situation where these villains stay in this universe or get ported back like the end of Spider-Verse. I would much rather they all stayed in this universe to try and lead up to a Sinister Six film. But like I say, this is the money shot of the trailer, and I do believe we're going to get one big set, which I'll talk about in a minute.
Hello, Peter.
Now, as you can see, we're getting Alfred Molina back as Doc Ock, and I reckon we're going to get this battle, this bridge top battle, as a set. This is my final set prediction, as I know that we're still getting 2 sets to come. One of the sets I do believe is going to be Amazing Spider-Man side, and one set is going to be a Tobey Maguire side. So even though this might be too much to ask for, I do think that we're going to get a big fig version of the Lizard, as well as Electro and an Amazing Spider-Man, potentially a J. Jonah Jameson in the suit as well, with a Daily Bugle van based on this scene here. This, if you ask me, is the most efficient way of LEGO giving us all of the figures from this film and giving us potentially a really awesome set. I see them doing a main build of the Daily Bugle van and then some sort of side build with the 2 other characters and some debris. You might say it's a bit far-fetched, but I genuinely believe that's what this is going to be in terms of the first set. As for the second set, like I say, I think it's going to be the bridge battle, and I think it's going to be based on a Tobey Maguire set. In that set, I think we're going to get a Norman Osborn Green Goblin, an Alfred Molina version of Dr. Octopus. I think we're going to get a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man suit and an Iron Spider. This scene is somewhere towards the end of the first act, as I don't think the trailer would show anything sort of full on. I think the scene is probably just after the spell and everything going wrong, and they're sort of trying to introduce all the villains to the audience in case people don't know who they are. The main reason I think we're going to be getting a Tobey Maguire, and I think the Spider-Men are coming back, is because Alfred Molina in this trailer is clearly not talking to our version of Peter, at least in terms of concept towards the trailer. The trailer is cut up in a way where it makes it look like Alfred Molina is talking to Tom Holland version of Spider-Man, which, if I'm honest, he shouldn't know who this version of Spider-Man is, so as long as he's not suited up, he shouldn't know who this is. A lot of people tend to forget that Dr. Octopus is a scientist, probably knows a little bit about the multiverse. I personally believe that he is actually talking to Tobey Maguire's version of Spider-Man in this scene, as the same bridge that they're on is actually the ending scene from Spider-Man 2, I believe, and it wouldn't be a far stretch to say that Mary Jane and Tobey Maguire version of Spider-Man didn't get sucked into the portal as well, as they were both in the same scene at the end of that film. So yeah, those are the 2 sets that I think that we're still yet to see from this whole Spider-Man wave, considering that I don't massively think that these Spider-Man sets that we've already seen are all based directly off of No Way Home. I just wanted to give my little bit of opinions now on the actual film itself and what I believe is going to happen, so spoilers ahead if these turn out being true. Now, I personally believe that No Way Home refers to the enemies not having a way back home, and potentially the Spider-Men coming back are the only ones who are going to be able to get back to their own universes by the end of it, meaning that they would stay with the Tom Holland universe, and we'd then have these iconic characters in this universe. I also don't necessarily think that they're all going to turn out to be evil. I do reckon we're going to get a Sinister Six film, and potentially Doc Ock to be a future mentor for Spider-Man. as I believe he will be able to be reformed like he was done in Spider-Man 2. Some people are also saying that this could potentially be Sandman. Now, I personally don't believe this to be the case, as I don't remember hearing any sort of rumors that Sandman was going to be in this film. I also don't really think they'd go into the Spider-Man 3 territory, as that film had too many enemies to start with, and if they brought in all those enemies as well, we'd just have so many enemies in this film, which we already look to have about 5 or 6, if they also plan to bring back Mysterio, Vulture, and Scorpion. So I think this just could be Rubble being kicked up by Electro, which is played by Jamie Foxx, which would be the Amazing Spider-Man version of Electro, so I think we will see him change from the blue colour to the yellow colour, because I know they want to go down a more comic book version of Electro. Like I say, I do believe we are going to get Amazing Spider-Man 1 version of Andrew Garfield, and potentially Spider-Man 2 version of Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man as well in this film. I think Disney would be stupid to show us this in a trailer though. I don't think we're going to be able to see them until the film comes out, or potentially Lego leaks, but that's why I'm worried about these sets leaking from Lego, because I do believe they are going to include the older versions of Spider-Man. I also believe that we're going to get a shot in the next trailer of basically Tom Holland just standing still and a spider web go past him, which would then confirm to the audience that other Spider-Men are going to be in this film. So that's the shot I believe we're going to see to guarantee that we know as an audience that other Spider-Men are in the film without necessarily seeing who was firing it. I think that Disney have had this planned for a very, very long time, and now that Sam Raimi is obviously directing the new Doctor Strange film, it only seems right that we're kind of getting that Spider-Man 4 that he wanted to make so long ago. But that's this video, guys. This video ended up being a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. Let me know what you guys thought of this video, as it's kind of a change up from what I usually make. I know I've been away for a few weeks, but trust me, when it comes to the 30th, videos will resume as normal. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm doing fine. Thanks for all the concerned messages that I get my way, and I'll speak to you guys in the next video. Goodbye.